Hello there. Welcome to Oil Painting My Way. My name's Rob. I hope you're having a great day. Right, this is video sequence number 4. For those of you who've already watched, you'll know that we've done video sequence number 1, which was the sky, video sequence number 2, which was distant hills, and video sequence 3, which was midground hills. So now we're coming on to the foreground, which is what we're going to show now. And then after this, we're going to go into maybe getting right to the very foreground with some dark colors for a tree and some bushes. But for now, this is video sequence number 4, and this is mid to foreground. So I hope you enjoy.
Hi, so what we're going to do now, we're just going to put some ground in front of here, maybe some trees, just to divide the canvas up a little bit more. The ground's getting closer, so again it's going to be a little bit lighter. Now I've actually mixed the colour up here, I'm not sure what this is going to be like. Let's have a look. Just see, it's not too bad. This colour here is basically sap green, yellow ochre, a touch of black, and a touch of burnt umber. So just making it a little bit lighter. We're actually going to put some trees along here just to break up this edge. Again, I'm not quite sure what we're going to do with this foreground bit yet. Maybe a pathway of some sort. We're going to diffuse this, put some trees in front. Just put this base colour down. We'll darken it up and lighten it up in different spaces wherever we feel the need. Just get that colour down there for the moment. Rub it into the canvas. So as you can probably hear, I'm pushing fairly hard with this and just rub it in. You get when you use this like this, the odd bristle come out. Build up of ink, that's to be expected. Just get that little bit of tone down there, and we're going to just darken it a bit towards the back because, as you can see, that looks too harsh. So we're just going to get a little bit of sap green and burnt umber on its own. Again, that's just sap green and burnt umber. Just to diffuse that edge. And then as you come down, just soften it a bit. Don't be too exact, it's just you're just blending it in, getting those contrasts and tones and mid values between the colours. what we're going to do now, just wipe that brush out. Basically you're going to get it's got a small filbert here, it's a number 2. I'm just going to put some tree line, maybe distant tree line, just to break up that edge. Now let me just go with the sap green just to start with, just to see what it is. I've literally just got the filbert brush on its side at the moment. And then just to see what it looks like. I'm not sure we're going to keep these, we just want to see, as I say, it's forgiving. If I don't like these, I could just wipe them off and then put that background back in again. But it's just to break that edge up between this part of the foreground and this midground here. It's just like sort of bush or foliage of some sort. Again, I'm just using the filbert on its edge just to get sort of a, as if you're distant sort of, well not distant but mid-tone sort of trees, or not mid-tone, mid-ground trees. What we'll do, we'll soften the bottom of this to blend it all in. But we obviously need to get these trees in first, foliage or shrubs or whatever you decide they're going to be. And I've just put a tiny little bit of burnt umber in there just to change the flavour a little bit, because obviously you're going to get some trees are more dense than others. So again, you're just changing your values slightly. Keep loading your brush. It's just gone back to neat sap green now. A little blob of paint there, and just soften that edge up. Again, we might put a big tree there, I'm not too sure, just to cover that up, and that'll bring this part forward. I could put another tree there, who knows, we'll decide as we go along. And what you can do, just get a dry brush, and as done with previous layers, you just want to soften the bottom edge, so it helps blend it in. And also you'll get, where you're pushing, it'll push a little bit more of a shadow into the underside of where the trees are, and it helps create more values. Again, you want to basically put taller trees. Don't try and keep them all the same size, because it will basically just look weird going the right way across. Yes, you get most trees, if you look at a tree line, they'll roughly be the same height, but now and again you always get one that sticks up. It's trying to be the daddy figure of the trees. It will always stick up slightly more. We'll just soften that. As I say, there's not a lot of detail in here. You're basically just breaking up the ground between here, the foreground, and this mountain range or hillside range behind. You can again just put a little bit of white down below if you want, and just flick. Sometimes that works. It helps with the separation of the trees. I can actually show you that. Bear with me 1 second. I just need to get a small fan brush. Right, I've just basically got a small fan brush with a tiny little bit of white on. Now what you need to do, as I say, this is a tiny amount, is literally just near the bottom, just flick up slightly. Excuse my hand in front of the camera, but it just defines those little bits of light that are coming through the base of the trees. It just helps with a little bit of separation. Don't put a lot on, just very minimal. Again, excuse my hand in front of the lens. Don't need to go all the way across, but literally, hopefully, as you can see there, it literally just helps break up a little bit of light coming through. That's another option that you can actually do, but be very sparse with the amount of white that you put on there, because otherwise it will just take over and you'll end up having to scrape the whole lot off and start again. So let's just wipe that off there. What are we going to do now? Let's just maybe just put another little bit of colour on this ground here, sparkle it up a little bit. Let's maybe put a bit of cadmium yellow and yellow ochre together, just to see what we get. Excuse me while I'm away from the screen again. Let's see what we got here. This is cad yellow and yellow ochre. just tap that gently. Very gently. Just trying to put a bit of colour on the into the field, as if you're trying to make some sort of grass of some sort. Could be a sort of cornfield or flax field, or who knows, any field with a nice bright yellow. It just helps. Be very careful when you're doing this, because it is wet going over wet. I have actually just put a tiny little bit of the solvent-free gel in, just to help soften it up a bit. Because it will start getting quite thick. You're basically just trying to get a sort of grassy area. Excuse the banging. It'll take a little while, you have to keep going backwards and forwards. Remember, not too bright at the back, it needs to be darker at the back, because obviously you've got the shadows of the trees and everything. As I say, this is just yellow ochre and cadmium yellow with just a touch of the clear gel, just to thin it out a bit, to make the application on the canvas, because it is going over wet paint. It just makes it easier. A thinner paint will stick more to a thicker paint. It doesn't work the other way around. Again, I probably will put a big tree here, so I'm not too worried about going over the edge. Just think about your composition, where you're actually putting something. If you're going to put like a large tree here, then there's no point in putting all of this paint over there, because it's going to be covered up. And also, when you come to put it on, you'll be putting thicker layers on top of another layer, and it just makes it a bit more difficult for yourself. But if you can make life easier for yourself when you're doing this, all the better. So just think about the composition, what's going where. Again, if you was having a big tree up like this, I could have left that part of the sky out, but I'm not sure where the tree's going to break and start going into branches, so you obviously want the light to come through the branches. But yeah, just think about the composition and what's actually going where. It just hopefully makes life a little bit easier for you. Here we go. Again, still, this is still yellow ochre and cad yellow. Might now and again just want to touch a little bit of Indian yellow or raw sienna in there, just to give those little bit of extra tones. I'm literally just stippling this in with the, don't get right to the bottom of the tree line. As I say, remember to leave that darker area as a shadow. And maybe what we'll do, which should we do here? To think what I'm going to do. I'll bring that down a little bit further actually. Let me just go back to the previous brush. Just put this colour that I had previously, I'll just put this down a bit more. Again, this is just a base colour. It has to be exact. Again, when you mix this base colour, as I say, don't mix it completely, leave it so you get different shades. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, it's actually picking up slightly different colours when you go on. It just helps with the tones and the values. Again, don't use your good brush when you're doing this sort of thing. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll come down and we'll do the whole thing. Let's get rid of all the white. I use a lot bigger brush to actually do this. As I say, this is only a number 4 fill, but it probably would have been bigger. In fact, let me just go back to the big flat, a number 10 flat. Hopefully this comes in a bit easier. As I say, we're just getting rid of the white. You can put your highlights and the mid-tones over the top. Certainly a bit quicker with this brush. Just fill that in. Decide what we're going to do next. Okay. What you might want to do is just get a piece of tissue and just go over that, just to help soak up some of the surface oil. as you can see, just get rid of some of that surface oil. So when you start putting your highlights on, just makes it a little bit easier. So basically we've just stained that canvas there, ready for our next application. So let's go back to our yellow. In fact, now what I'll do, I'll go back to the fan brush, and I'll get some of this yellow, cadmium yellow and yellow ochre. You can actually try putting the grassy area down using this. Hopefully it gets a bit more, it spreads a lot quicker than using that single brush. But what you're actually doing when you're actually putting this down like this, leave some of the darks in there because it just gives a bit more depth and shows a little bit more layers to the actual painting. Just varying the colours, need to be exact all the way through. It will take a time to do this, depending on how much canvas you have to actually cover. You can use bigger brushes to actually do this. But basically, I'm not sure what I'm actually doing in the actual foreground because I have no actual finished image in my head of what I'm actually going to paint. This is literally just a demonstration of obviously putting the layers down one after the other. As I did say in a previous video, I'll probably put a big tree here of some sort, maybe a path of some sort, maybe some bushes, but we'll just get some of these colours in first, just so we've got something to work against. Eventually, as you can see, if you vary the tones, you get different shades coming out of the actual painting. You get your lighter tones, your mid-tones. There's just different values all the way through, rather than just painting it flat with one brush. This is basically giving you the depth, as if it's a field that's been sort of mown, or it's got a patterned sort of feel to it. But just vary up those colours because they're not all exactly the same colour. All things vary in nature, even grass that's growing in a field. But as you can see, by putting this base colour down, you need to put, which is darker, then obviously the lights are showing up. This is what I previously said. You need to put your darks down for your lights to actually show up. So what we're going to do, maybe we put some bushes there, not sure yet. Let's bring it forward a little bit more. It's probably come somewhere around here. Let's brighten it up a bit more yellow. Again, remember to leave some of these darks in because it helps with the layering effect. Hopefully you'll see in time you get something that resembles some kind of field. You can just come in now and again, just put a few little sparklers in, just a little bit of white and cad yellow. Not a lot, but just enough that every now and again it looks like certain parts of the ground have actually caught the sunlight or the moonlight or whatever light is actually around. Just giving those little sparkles of light. Again, don't do too many. And don't put too many near the back again, because that's like where the baseline of the trees are, so you wouldn't get sparkles of light in there because the coverage of the trees would stop that light. A lot of this will be reflected light that you get in on the actual grass itself. So basically, that's what we're ending up with. It's just a sort of a fairly basic foreground. A little bit of sparkle of light. And then next what we'll do, we'll put our big tree up here. Maybe some bushes at the front. Not sure if I will put the path in yet, I don't know. Maybe a bush here of some sort. I don't know, we'll see where we end up, but that basically is the foreground, just a field. And then basically we get ready for our next bit, which will hopefully just finish off the actual painting. It's as if you're looking out through some woods or something like that into a field across the valleys. So yeah, that's our foreground, our main foreground there of the fields all done. And then next we'll be doing, as I say, trees and bushes in the foreground just to finish off the painting.
Well, here we are. That was mid to foreground. That was sequence number 4. Hopefully by now you can see the process of the painting gradually creeping forward. That was, as I say, the mid to foreground. So all we need now is basically the foreground. So what we're going to do in the next video, we're just going to put the base color in for a tree and some bushes. So I do hope you are enjoying this and you're maybe going along with it. So I would really appreciate if you could give me a thumbs up and that like, and maybe hit the subscribe button if you want to follow. Also hit the little notification bell, which has got the little marks around it. That will signify the next time I've actually put a video up. So if you are following along with the sequence, then please look out for the next video, which is going to be video number 5 in the sequence, and that is going to be called base colors for bushes and trees. So again, I hope you enjoyed that. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.